picture this, right? Like 80,000 people screaming so loudly that the actual grass of the Estadio Azteca is literally vibrating.
Oh, it's going to be absolutely deafening.
Yeah, and it's June 11th, 2026. The psychological weight of an entire nation is just, crashing down onto the shoulders of 11 guys on a football pitch.
The pressure is almost unimaginable, really.
Exactly. And you are here for this deep dive into Group A because, let's be honest, filling out a bracket with blind guesses is an amateur move. And frankly, you deserve better.
You definitely do.
I am the Armchair Galactico. I have absorbed, decades of tactical shifts, catastrophic managerial decisions, and totally heartbreaking exits, all while sitting right here on this exact couch.
It is a very impressive couch, to be fair.
Thank you. I like to think I dispense elite unfiltered wisdom from the tactical high ground of my living room. And today we're taking a microscope to my very own sharply penned source material. Basically, it's the ultimate preview of the 2026 World Cup Group A.
And it's a great preview, honestly. What you've identified here is super crucial because Group A, well, it isn't your traditional group of death.
Right.
Where four heavyweights just batter each other. It's really the group that opens everything. That sheer theatrical weight you were just talking about, the opening ceremony, the spotlight, it genuinely distorts reality on the pitch.
Which is exactly why the couch demands that we start with El Tri. Mexico carries the totally unbearable weight of hosting that opening match.
Yeah, and that changes how you have to play.
Well, see, that's the thing. When I look at the blueprint Javier Aguirre has drawn up for this Mexican squad, I did not see those romantic, swashbuckling Mexican teams from the past, at all.
No, definitely not. It's a very different vibe.
I see this, gritty, bruised action hero. They aren't built to sweep you off your feet with beautiful football.
Yeah.
They're built to drag you into a dark alleyway and basically win ugly.
Win ugly is a good way to put it, yeah.
But explain this to me and, to everyone listening who might just see a team playing defensively. Is this pragmatic shift basically Aguirre admitting that they just can't outplay top-tier teams anymore?
Yeah, that is the exact tension at the heart of this squad. It's essentially a structural realization. Aguirre knows perfectly well that if you try to play expansive, possession-based football against teams with better players,
you just get crushed.
Exactly, you get surgically picked apart. So he's implemented this strict low block.
Right. And for the folks listening, maybe explain what that actually looks like on the grass.
Sure. So for those watching at home, a low block basically means keeping all your players tightly packed near your own penalty area. You deliberately let the opponent have the ball.
You just give it to them.
Yeah, you surrender it. And you choke out all the passing space in your own half. You basically dare them to break you down.
But, how does inviting all that pressure actually win you a football match? From my couch, it just feels like you're waiting for the dam to break.
Well, because it's a trap. A low block acts like a coiled spring. You absorb the pressure, and then the exact second the opponent makes a sloppy pass, boom, you launch a counterattack.
The transition.
Right, in that transition phase.
Yeah.
That totally chaotic 3 to 5 second window before the opponent can actually run back to defend.
Okay, but you need very specific players to pull that off, right?
Absolutely. To make that work, you need a flawless spine. That is why Edson Alvarez from Fenerbahce is, without a doubt, the most important man on the pitch for them.
He's the guy who intercepts that sloppy pass.
Exactly. He intercepts it, and then he immediately fires the ball up to Raul Jimenez. Jimenez uses his physical bulk to shield the ball, and then you have Santiago Jimenez just sprinting into the massive empty space.
Jimenez from AC Milan. He's arguably the most clinical Mexican striker since, prime Chicharito?
I'd say so, yeah. He's lethal in that much space.
And then you have 17-year-old Gilberto Mora sitting on the bench, ready to inject pure chaos into tired legs. The kid is barely old enough to drive, potentially the youngest Mexican man ever to play in a World Cup.
It's an incredible story, and tactically, it's a beautifully balanced squad on paper.
It is, and here's where the couch issues its first major verdict. All of that tactical discipline, all that planning, it's going to violently collide with the ultimate psychological barrier, the fatal flaw.
Uh-oh. You're talking about the Quinton Partido, the fifth game.
The ghost that literally haunts the Azteca.
It really is the defining, inescapable narrative of Mexican football, isn't it?
Oh, completely.
8 consecutive round of 16 exits, 1994, 98, 2002, right through to 2022.
Even when they hosted in '86, they couldn't get past the quarterfinal. They've hosted this tournament 3 times, and the mental block of reaching that 5th game is just this immense, suffocating burden.
It hangs over everything they do.
So, listeners, lock this in on your brackets right now. The curse will absolutely not be broken.
Wow, really? Just
right.
writing them off.
I have seen this film from these very cushions 9 times, and I know exactly how it ends. The atmosphere will be impossible. The whole nation will dare to believe. They will qualify from Group A.
Okay, so they get out of the group.
Yes, and then, in the round of 16, they will suffer an exit so unbelievably cruel, so dramatically painful you'd think it was scripted by Hollywood. The Quinpartido is a myth, and it's going to remain unbroken.
Well, I wouldn't necessarily lock that in just yet. Psychological hurdles can be shattered by, just a single moment of brilliance.
Fair enough, but I'm sticking to my hot take.
But regardless of where they finish, your preview highlights a piece of history we really can't ignore, which is Guillermo Ochoa.
Oh man, the 41-year-old wall making a record-breaking 6th World Cup appearance.
It's insane longevity.
Surpassing Pelé. Surpassing Ronaldo. It is genuinely the most underrated story of this entire tournament. And mark my words, he will make at least one physically impossible save.
He always does on the big stage.
Like a save that genuinely defies the laws of physics. And the resulting roar from the crowd is going to register on seismographs in Mexico City.
It would be a very fitting swan song for him. But tactically speaking, if Mexico is this coiled spring waiting to strike, we really have to look at the team explicitly designed to smash that spring to pieces.
Oh, yes. Their opponent in the decisive June 18th match in Atlanta, Group A final basically, South Korea.
It's the perfect stylistic contrast.
Right. Because if Mexico wants you to attack them so they can counter, what happens when a team decides to aggressively just kick down the front door? Because the source material notes that coach Hong Young-bo has totally ripped up the traditional South Korean playbook.
He absolutely has. I mean, historically, South Korean World Cup campaigns were actually built on exactly what Mexico is doing now.
Right, sitting deep.
Yeah. Organized defense, deep blocks, and frankly, an excessive amount of respect for stronger opponents. But Hong Young-bo has completely scrapped that.
No more Mr. Nice Guy.
Exactly. The new directive is zero excessive respect. They are playing a relentless high press.
And what does that mean for the listener trying to picture this?
It means instead of retreating to their own half when they lose the ball, the Korean forwards sprint directly at the Mexican defenders. They try to suffocate them and steal the ball like 20 yards from Mexico's goal.
Which sounds incredibly intimidating.
Yeah.
Let me push back from the armchair here for a second.
Go for it.
If Mexico's entire offensive strategy relies on drawing you in so they can launch a counterattack into the empty space behind you, isn't South Korea's high press exactly what Mexico wants? I mean, aren't they just willingly walking right into the trap?
That is the multi-million-dollar tactical gamble right there. When you press high up the pitch, you naturally leave like 40 or 50 yards of totally empty grass behind your own defenders.
It's a massive risk.
Huge. If Mexico's Alvarez manages to break through that first wave of Korean runners and just pings a long ball, South Korea is completely exposed.
So how do they survive that?
The mechanism that prevents that total disaster is Kim Min-jae. The Bayern Munich center back is their elite defensive anchor.
He's a monster.
He is. He possesses the sheer recovery pace required to sprint back and cover that massive gap. He's basically the safety net that makes the high press mathematically possible in the first place.
Right, and then offensively, you have Lee Kang-in from PSG acting as the lockpick against Mexico's packed defense, and Hwang Hee-chan from Wolves just battering people with pure physical directness.
It's a very potent mix.
Which brings us to the legend in the room, the fatal flaw of this entire Korean system.
Yeah, their reliance on their 33-year-old captain, Son Heung-min.
Exactly. I mean, the whole system pivots entirely around him. He is the emotional heartbeat. He's the primary creative outlet. But he is 33, and he's dealing with the brutal physical demands of playing for LAFC over in MLS.
Right.
If Son is double marked by the Mexican defense, or if he's just fatigued from sprinting in a high press all game, doesn't the system just sort of collapse?
It certainly blunts their attack significantly.
Yeah.
Because a high press requires all 11 players to move simultaneously.
Like a machine.
Exactly. If one player, even your superstar, is half a second slow to close down the space, the opponent just easily passes around you, and then you've exhausted yourselves for absolutely nothing.
Which leads to my next hot take. And honestly, this one breaks my heart a little. There is something just profoundly elegiac about Son arriving at this tournament for his final ride.
It really is the end of an era.
He is going to score at least one magnificent, beautiful goal the kind that makes time stand still, but it will not be enough.
You don't think so?
No, the tournament is going to end far too soon for South Korea. I think they'll scrape through the group in second place, surviving the sheer chaos of their own high-wire act. But that lack of depth and relying on an aging star will be their ultimate downfall.
It's a very sobering assessment. And, the tactical volatility of a Mexico-Korea matchup perfectly sets the stage for the ultimate disruptor in Group A.
Oh, I know where you're going with this.
Because if Mexico wants to counterattack and Korea wants to press high, what happens when they face a team that absolutely refuses to do either of those things? Enter Czechia.
20 long years. 2 full decades they have been agonizingly waiting to get back to the stage. And let me tell you, they are not arriving as tourists.
Far from it. The blueprint for Coach Miroslav Kubik's team is built on what your preview brilliantly terms classic Central European grit.
Thank you. Okay, but translate that for the listeners who don't spend their weekends obsessing over tactical heat maps. What does grit actually look like as a mechanism on the pitch?
Well, practically, it looks like spatial dominance and physical attrition. They're not going to play those dizzying one-touch tiki-taka passes.
No, definitely not.
But they also aren't going to just aimlessly kick the ball forward and hope. It is highly organized, hyper-efficient football. The whole mechanism relies on winning second balls.
Which means?
Meaning, when a pass is deflected or header is challenged, a Czechia player is always mathematically positioned to win the loose ball.
Ah, right.
And the engine behind this is Tomáš Souček from West Ham. I mean, he's a tireless box-to-box midfielder who will routinely cover 13 kilometers in a match just to make sure the team structure never breaks.
He just does not stop running. And then you add in their captain, Ladislav Krejci, a 27-year-old hardened center back, and Patrick Schick from Bayer Leverkusen up top.
Schick is so dangerous.
We all remember Schick's outrageous 50-yard lob from the halfway line at Euro 2020. He can finish the spectacular, but he also converts routine chances with cold, mechanical efficiency.
Very true.
So my analogy for Czechia is this. If Mexico is the gritty action hero, Czechia is a reliable, sturdy, heavy-duty commercial vehicle.
I like that.
It has no flashy rims. It has 0 racing stripes. But if your flashy sports car crashes into it, your sports car is the one getting completely totaled.
That's a great visual.
But here's my question from the armchair. Can a strategy built primarily on attrition and just making 0 mistakes actually generate enough goals to advance out of a group stage?
That is precisely the tension with them. Being incredibly hard to beat guarantees that you stay in the game, sure, but grinding out 0-0 or 1-1 draws does not mathematically guarantee you advance in a 3-game group stage.
Right. Eventually you have to put the ball in the net.
You have to score. And that brings us to their fatal flaw, which actually isn't tactical at all. It's entirely experiential. They lack tournament muscle memory.
Because of the 20-year absence from the World Cup.
Exactly. I mean, the European Championships are tough, obviously, but the World Cup is a different psychological beast entirely. Nobody in the squad has any experience navigating the suffocating, unique pressures of a World Cup group stage.
That's a really good point.
How does that heavy-duty commercial vehicle hold up when the engine gets rattled? Imagine walking into the Azteca against a host nation backed by 80,000 screaming fans.
Terrifying.
Or trying to maintain your spatial discipline when a South Korean team literally never stops sprinting at you for 90 full minutes. They lack the institutional memory of how to survive those exact high-stress scenarios.
And the couch has a verdict on this. Czechia is going to make every single opponent bleed for their goals. Nobody is going to enjoy playing against them.
Nope.
But ultimately, they will fall short. I predict they scrape together 4 points, probably a win over South Africa and a painfully gritty draw, and they will be left praying to the mathematical gods for a best third-place spot.
It could definitely go that way.
That lack of recent World Cup pedigree when the lights are blindingly bright, that will be their undoing.
Experience is an invisible currency on this stage. It really is. Which naturally brings us to the final piece of the Group A puzzle.
The ultimate underdogs.
Exactly. If we're talking about the disparity of experience, we have to talk about the pure, unadulterated underdogs. The team walking directly into the buzzsaw to face Mexico in that opening match, South Africa.
Bafana Bafana. Now, this is a fascinating tactical story. Under the guidance of Hugo Broos, who, by the way, says this is his final coaching role, they are completely bucking the trend of modern international football.
They really are.
We just spent this entire deep dive talking about players from Bayern Munich, AC Milan, PSG, but 19 of South Africa's 26 players are based domestically.
It is almost unheard of in 2026. The vast majority of their squad is drawn directly from Mamelodi Sundowns and Orlando Pirates in the South African Premier Division.
So how does that actually play out on the field? I have my own analogy for this, obviously, but I want to hear the mechanics from you first.
The mechanic is deep neural chemistry. Think about it. When you take a European-based national team, you are assembling a group of extremely talented strangers who practice together for maybe 3 weeks a year.
Right, they barely know each other's tendencies.
Exactly. They have to constantly look up to see where their teammates are. South Africa's domestic core practices and plays with each other 300 days a year. They have unspoken communication.
It's huge.
A midfielder knows exactly when the winger is going to cut inside without even looking because they run that exact drill every Tuesday in Pretoria. They move as one synchronized unit to compensate for the fact that they don't have a $100 million superstar.
Okay, so my analogy is perfect. They aren't just an indie band. They are a highly trained, synchronized local choir. They breathe together, they pause together.
It works, yeah.
But suddenly, this local choir has been asked to headline Wembley Stadium. I mean, they have a 21-year-old winger, Relebahile Mofokeng, who is incredibly fast, and veteran Percy Tau. But my genuine concern, and the fatal flaw here, can that synchronized domestic chemistry realistically compensate for the massive chasm in individual quality when they are lining up against Champions League level starters?
Well, if we are being strictly analytical about it, no.
Yeah, I didn't think so.
The quality gap is basically a canyon. The speed of decision-making required in the South African League versus the speed required when facing a press from La Liga or Premier League players is just entirely different.
It's a whole other sport, practically.
Chemistry allows you to overperform, sure, but over 3 grueling matches, individual technical superiority usually breaks down the collective defense. A single touch of brilliance from a player who makes $200,000 a week can completely dismantle 90 minutes of perfect chemistry.
Except for one variable. The 34-year-old captain and goalkeeper, Ronwen Williams, the man who saved 4 penalties in one shootout at the 2023 AFCON.
Oh, he is the absolute anchor of this team. If they are going to survive the onslaught, it requires a monumental, superhuman performance from him.
So here is the final hot take from the Galactico. South Africa will finish this group with 0 points. They will likely leave with a negative goal differential.
Unfortunate, but likely.
But it will not matter, because Ronwen Williams is going to make acrobatic saves that defy all logic. They are going to play with unbelievable heart, utilize that domestic chemistry to frustrate their opponents for long stretches, and they will avoid total humiliation.
I completely agree.
The entire nation is going to celebrate an incredibly honorable exit simply because they reached the world stage and stood their ground against giants.
I think that is a very fair assessment. So if we synthesize all of this tactical friction into projected final standings based on your preview.
Let's hear it.
Mexico manages the immense pressure and the low block trap works, topping the group with 7 points. South Korea survives the chaos of their high press to take second with 4 points.
Right.
Czechia's attrition leaves them waiting in limbo in third place with 4 points, hoping the math works out across the rest of the tournament. And South Africa goes home with 0 points, but their heads held extremely high.
It feels perfectly scripted. A beautiful, chaotic narrative arc for Group A.
It really does. But before we sign off, I want to leave you, the listener, with a thought to mull over as you finalize your brackets.
Ooh, what is it?
We spend so much time analyzing tactical whiteboards, low blocks, and high presses. But I want you to consider the unquantifiable. How much does the sheer physical and acoustic weight of 80,000 screaming fans at the Estadio Azteca genuinely alter the reality of a match?
That's a deep question.
Does a referee hesitate for half a second before blowing a whistle against the home team because of the wall of sound? Does an opposition defender misplace a simple 5-yard pass because the stadium is literally shaking? Can a crowd, through sheer will and volume, manifest a result that tactics alone cannot explain? Keep that in mind when June 11th arrives.
The unseen variable that breaks the whiteboard. I absolutely love it. Well, my friends, it is time for me to sink back into the undeniable tactical superiority of these cushions. I have given you the blueprint.
The master plan.
Exactly. Come on. If you're sitting there listening to this thinking you know better than the couch, if you genuinely believe you can predict the chaos of Group A better than the Armchair Galactico, then prove it. Put your predictions where your pride is. Join the Intergalactico Challenge at bracketmachine.app with code Z9U8XX. We will see you next time.